everyone, it's Trisha at Inky Planner. Welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of my studio makeover videos. If you didn't see part 1, that was a short clip that was just a kind of a before and after. So you could see the mess that I was dealing with originally and then sort of the transformation into my revamped craft studio. As promised, I said that I would come back with part 2 here and get into the nitty-gritty and really dive deep into my drawers and storage compartments and just show you how I have everything organized and the way that I like to lay things out in my craft space. So this is a longer video. Buckle in if you want to watch this one, but if you're interested in a closer look, that's what this video will provide. Thanks for being here, and let's take a look. Hi, this is Trisha at Inky Planner. Welcome to my craft room tour. I'm going to go ahead and open the door so you can get an overview of my craft room. This is down in my basement, and the one complaint, or I guess unfinished element, is the lighting in the ceiling. We have these drop ceiling tiles and big fluorescent lighting, which is not ideal, so that's next on my list, but I just can't tackle it all at the one time. So let's go ahead and take a peek around the room, and I will go through and show you where I store things and some of my organizational methods. Pan over this way, and you can see back here, this whole corner desk is really where the majority of my planning supplies and most often used items are stored. And that's why everything is kind of right at my fingertips over here. So let's go ahead and we'll walk you through. I'm going to try to be brief because there's so much to see and I don't want to take forever with this video, but if I'm skimming too fast and you have questions about anything, please just throw them into the comments and I can go into more detail. So over here on my desk, I have my lonely little Cricut. That used to be sort of buried and I didn't have the cartridges in a good spot, so I didn't use it very much. Now that I'm organized, I'm going to see if I use it more now that it's accessible, and we'll see. So right now that sort of sits over here on my desktop where I have plenty of space to pull it out and pop it open and use it. And then I have up on my walls, I just have some decorative stuff. That was a painting I did ages ago. And then right here, immediately to my right when I'm sitting at my desk, are all of my planner stamps. Or the majority, I should say, the ones I use most often. In this smaller unit here, this little clear acrylic tray, this is from Pottery Barn, I have some of the smaller stamps, like all of these from Tailored Expressions, my clearly planned little guys. And then I have a bunch of Scraptastic ones that come in the Plan On It kits, and a few others, miscellaneous ones back here, alphas and stuff. And then in the larger compartment in the back, I have a couple of stencils from Scraptastic, and then various A5 papers, grid papers, plain papers, some of my inserts that I've printed, and things like that. So everything's very handy, right immediately to my right as I'm sitting down. This little bin is the perfect size, but the wrong color. I wish it weren't blue. I'm still trying to replace it with a nice clear bin that doesn't jump out at me, but I just haven't found one that fits what I'm looking for exactly. So I'm still on the hunt. But meanwhile, it just serves a great purpose. It's very functional. So I have most of my larger size planner stamps in here, and they're organized by company. So my larger Scraptastics, and then I didn't even need to change out the packaging. It's just so easy to see what's what. All the black topped ones are Felicity Jane. All this pretty yellow and teal are the Tailored Expressions Clearly Planned stamps, and then my Studio L2E stuff behind that, and then one from Bo Bunny in the back. So those are ones that I reach for on a weekly basis every time I sit down to plan. Here in this bin, which is from Interdesign, I have the my collection of Copic markers, which I hope to grow. So I bought this a little bigger than it needs to be, which is why I just have some paper towel jammed in the back to keep them upright. but I do have some colors that are on my wish list, so hopefully that will grow a little bit. And then I have two little just pencil cups. One's like more of a mason jar style, and I have colored pencils, and then every other kind of pens, pencils, slick writer type, precision pens, just everything that I use for regular writing in there. Directly in front of me, I have my carousel, which I love that it goes, kind of tucks neatly in this deep portion of a desk. When you have a corner desk, you have a lot of depth that goes way back into the corner, and so this kind of fits very nicely in there. So I'll just kind of twirl that around, and you can see I have a lot of adhesives, you know, kind of liquid and pen style glues, fine line kind of scissors and tools, tape runners, my crocodile and bone folders, my tiny attacher. So lots of tools that I just like to have handy, and they fit really nicely in here. In that center compartment, I have a corner chomper and my Tim Holtz scissors, a pair of fringe scissors that I use more for cards and things. But this is just a really handy little tool. And in these little drawers are things that sort of coordinate with whatever is in the sections above them. So this is cutting stuff, so I have replacement blades for my trimmer in there. And in here I have not much. I think I have just like one of those rub-on sticks. But in here are the little cartridges that go with this eyelet hole puncher and eyelet setter. So little tidbits like that. My staples for the tiny attacher. You got the idea. So off to my left, if I turn a little bit this way, I have the storage for the majority of my full-size ink pads. These are rotating carousels from Stampin' Up, and I really love them. I'm just going to kind of show you. You can swirl around. They hold 48 ink pads each. I think you can get extenders, but I don't have them. So anyway, I have two of them, and they're organized by color family. Not necessarily the way that Stampin' Up does their colors, but just for me, like in rainbow order. And then I've mixed in some other, so they're not all Stampin' Up ink pads. You know, I've got some Color Box pigment inks in here. This is a Simon Says Stamp full-size pad. So it's a nice unit because it will house lots of different brands of ink pads in the full size. And then on the other side, my color palette continues into the like blues and greens and purples, but then I have all of my sort of basic, like my basic black from Stampin' Up, Hero Arts, black dye ink, my VersaFine Onyx Black pigment, my Memento that I use for Copics, Versamark, etc. So, and in the tops of these, they have little shallow wells, and on the one side I use to house all of my ink blending tools and foams. I kind of keep one for each color family, and then I also have the fingertip style blenders, these little finger daubers. And then on this side I have ink refills, which I do not get for all the ink pads I have. For some reason or another I've acquired some of these over time, but this is all I have, so those are up there. And to my left, I have a nice big expanse of clear countertop, which is by design. I found in my old space that I was shoving things off to the side in the middle of my creative process, and it was quickly like narrowing down my workspace because everything was like overflowing. So this is a place while I'm creating I can move things off to the side, papers that I'm choosing from, or stamp sets that I'm pulling out and I'm actively using. So that's a nice big blank space for all of that. My little monitor so I can listen in on my baby girl while I'm crafting. A little bit of green. And then this cute little thing is from Target. It's just a little container that has a magnetic closure, and I just stuck a sticker on the top. This is just like a chipboard sticker, and I just threw all of my little planner clips, paper clips and magnetic clips and my little planner charms and things like that in here, and it's just a cute little spot to house those. Okay, so back up. Up on the walls to my left, this is just a little display of cards that I have made along the way, and I just love the pop of color that it adds, and it's just fun to see sort of the fruits of my labor, if you will, like some of my completed projects just up there all the time. Makes me happy. And these are really cool clip and wire system. It's from IKEA. It's super inexpensive. I think it's called Dignitet, and I will try to link a lot of this stuff down below, but it was very easy to install, and you can customize the length of everything. I loved it. So directly in front of me up on the wall, I have two little ledge style shelves just for some display, you know, a plate that I painted and some other little projects. The shelves are also from IKEA. I don't recall the name, but I will link it below in the description, as is this like gooseneck style clip-on light. As I mentioned, my lighting here is less than optimum, so I needed additional light right here over my workspace so that I wasn't casting a shadow over my project all the time. So that worked perfectly. It didn't take up any tabletop space, and it kind of could stay out of the way and flex wherever I wanted it to go. I also have a little clamp that I suspend my iPhone over my workspace when I'm doing a video, like a plan with me style video that needs to shoot from overhead. And then over here, if you watched part 1 of my before and after craft room tour, you'll see that this is pretty much the same. I cleaned it up a little bit, got rid of some things, but this is a lot of stuff that's just decorative up there. I do use the ribbons. Some of those paints are dried out, but some of them I've used recently too. The sticker maker. I have some tools on the bottom shelf, like my pencil sharpener and my favorite washi and some post-it tape and things like that that I use all the time. So that's also immediately accessible to my right. I'm trying to take advantage of some vertical space there. And then if I turn behind me and kind of give you a look of this wall, give you as much of an overview as possible, but these are all cubes that I had in my previous craft space, and I liked them a lot, but I needed to pull everything out and reassess what I used and what I didn't use, and then pull it all back together. So most of this is just decorative behind me, but I do have my big shot, which I can swirl my desk chair around, and I have one of those big mats on my carpet, so I can turn right around, and I have my big shot and my dies right here behind me. And then I also have my Stampin' Up! Products, and just because of the way that they're packaged, they all kind of fit nicely on this wall unit. Both the stamps and the punches are right up there. And then the rest of the room is a lot of kids' supplies and sort of overflow supplies. So the kids can sit over here at this desk on both sides and color or make cards with me while I'm in here. And I'm going to try to slowly pan back around. There is also a space right here under to my right, underneath where the Cricut is, and they can sit up there as well and be crafting. So it's really nice because I can still have them in here using this room and being creative, but I have gotten rid of the madness that used to accompany all of their stuff. So let's go into the drawers a little bit. Immediately to my right, I have a bank of these Alex drawers. These are from IKEA, and this is one of the drawer units that's actually holding up the desk. The tabletops are called Linman, and then the little legs, I believe, are called Adils, A-D-I-L-S. And it's, if you've ever looked at IKEA products, it's all kind of modular. You can piece it together however you like. So I chose to have these drawers supporting the tabletop. So let's peek inside, and I'm going to go kind of quick. You have in my top right drawer what I consider to be my stamping essentials. My blocks, my absorber that I always use to clean off my stamps. You can see that thing's a mess, but it still works great. Behind that, I have a footed stamp press. I have the Misty. I have a more traditional style stamp positioner, and I have this small guillotine style paper trimmer from Creative Memories, which I love for just trimming photos when I'm doing pocket pages. And while I'm on the subject of trimmers, I'm just going to scoot over here to the right and show you that my Fiskars 12-inch trimmer is hanging on the side of this drawer unit, which I love because I don't want to take up an entire drawer for this, but I also don't want it on my desktop all the time. So I'm sorry that it's a little dark under here, but I'm going to go ahead and grab it. I just installed these like adhesive 3M hooks, and it's really easy to grab this right off of there and then to hang it right back up when I'm done. So that's a great solution that I have found for the trimmer. So let's go back to the drawers now. In the second drawer, I have all my washi tapes organized by color in these little bins. These little dividers actually came out of another case that I got from Target, and I don't use the exterior case now. I just like these little dividers. And then I had room along the side for my craft mat and a couple of rulers. That used that space up nicely. The next drawer down is all adhesives. So you can see I have all kinds of roll, like tape adhesives, like glue dots and Post-it tape, dimensional adhesive and pop dot type adhesives, tape runners, my foam tape and score tape in the back, ATG gun, and even an old glue gun in there. So that is a great home for all of my adhesives. The next drawer down is planner stickers, and I maybe need to find a slightly better organization for this section right here. This is sort of all the large scale things like alphabets and the ones that come in some of the kits that are larger. And I would like to find a better way to house those, but for the moment they're in here. And then I have clipped together, I have all kinds of alphas that I can come and look through. And in the front, I have all of my traditional type planner stickers. If I can open this up, in an accordion style organizer. And I have kind of grouped them by functionality. So decorative stickers versus half boxes, full boxes, headers, and things like that. And that works just great for me. That idea actually came from Julie at Plan to Create, who I think does her stickers the same way. And then I have some other Post-it notes, a long weekly Post-it in here, these awesome sticky situation Post-it notes from Clearly Planned Tailored Expressions, which have like pre-printed little designs that you can stamp and then just stick into your planner. I love those. And then let's go down to the next. This last drawer has the supplies for my Cricut, the cartridges and the overlays for the keyboard, and then I have some scraps, 2 little bins of scraps, one for Nina Solar White and one for Stampin' Up! Whisper White. And anytime I have just bits of leftover paper, I toss them in here because I'm always using those to stamp and color and fussy cut a little image or maybe a sentiment for a card, but I try not to be wasteful, especially with my good white cardstock. So that is all in there. Okay, so that's the first bank of drawers. If I twist over here to the left, again, here's my desk space, and immediately to my left, I have another bank of drawers. This far one is exactly like the one we just looked at, and that is holding up the desk. This one is also from the Alex line, but it is a freestanding unit. It is not holding up the desk, and it can be rolled in and out or to another spot in the room, and it does fit over on the right side of my desk, like under my Cricut, so I could bring it to either side if I wanted to. I just wanted to kind of show you in here. I put another one of those 3M hooks there, and if you can see what that is my heat tool that just stays plugged in and it just hangs on that hook, so it's always accessible. I can reach under and grab it, which I love. And then I just stick a paper towel roll under there as well. So let's look at these drawers. I really loved these drawers when I was searching through IKEA. This is one of the things that sold me on this Alex line, were these very wide, shallow drawers, almost like drafting drawers. Sorry, I'm wiggling this camera too much. But so let's take a look. So my top drawer is just so pretty. I love it. These are all of my ink cubes. So I have my full-size ones up on my desk like I showed you. But in here I have several of the ink cubes from Hero Arts, and then from the Tim Holtz Distress ink line, and then from the Simon Says Stamp hybrid inks. These are closest to me because these are the ones that work best in planners. The formulation of this ink, while it's still a dye ink, it does not bleed through the planner paper nearly as much, so I really like these for in my planner. However, I love the dye inks for card making and for if I want to use them on thicker white cardstock for a smaller image. So I use all of these quite a bit, and then I just had a few miscellaneous extra full-size pads that I stuck in there. The next drawer down is also ink. However, these were some of the odd-shaped pigment inks that did not fit in my other storage places. So the Mommy Lay ones are square and don't really fit in my carousels, but I love having those in here. And then I have some teardrop shaped or dewdrop, whatever they're called, and then the cat's eye ones and some of these petal ones. So these are all pigment inks. And then I have, which I love that this is just not jammed into a spot somewhere. It's really freely accessible because I use this every single time I sit down to create. And this is my ink swatch packet. All the inks I own, I have a swatch of them, what they look like, all dried on paper so that I can pick the exact color that I want and then go right to the spot where it lives and pull it for my project. So I love this. And this was designed by Jennifer McGuire from Jennifer McGuire Ink, and I used her downloads, and she tells you exactly which page protectors to buy. They're actually like coin pockets, and they're just great. So love that system. My next drawer, I don't use a whole bunch for planning, but I do use when I make cards, and that is embossing products. So I have my favorite embossing powders in these larger like disposable Ziploc container, and then I have smaller embossing powders in here and other associated tools and pens and things that go with that. Some embossing paste and glitters, things like that. And the next drawer is all kinds of die cuts and paper ephemera, which are sorted by color. So I have these little 3-segment dividers. These are Room Essentials from Target. And every time I get a packet of ephemera or a kit of any kind, or even if I'm coloring an image or playing around with stamping, like this I stamped and colored an image, I will put it in here for future use on a Project Life page or on a planner spread or on any creative project that I might be working on. And as I said, I grouped them by color, kind of in rainbow order. And then I have some like multicolor ones and some plain whites. And then back in the corner, this white container was one of the Project Life Core Kit containers from Becky Higgins. And I use that for all of my journaling cards, my 3x4 journaling cards, and my 4x6 cards, which I don't have tons of, but that's where they live. And again, loosely arranged by color. The next drawer down are coloring and marker and colored pencils all in here. So I have the Stampin' Write markers. This Studio Calico mesh bag has all of my friction pens. And then in these two, I have just like Zig writer pens. I have some gel pens and glitter pens, the Wink of Stella, and things like that. And then this craft tube has a travel set of colored pencils. I have a Copic marker color chart, some glaze pens from Sakura, so all kinds of just fun pen goodness in there. And then the very bottom drawer is all my watercolor supplies. So similar to my ink swatch sheet, I have a sheet here, and this is all my Peerless watercolor I don't even know what you would call these, but like they're like little mini papers that are soaked with watercolor, and you just use your paintbrush right on there. So I have this, and all of the colors are in here. So I pull that out when I want to paint with those. I also have some just from Michael's. I have just a pan set of watercolors, various watercolor papers, and watercolor cards, all of my brushes and aqua painters. And then these I use primarily for watercoloring. That's why I put them in this drawer versus the drawer above. But these are the Zig Clean Color markers, the 36 set, and then I have some additional ones in that little mesh bag down there as well. So lots of coloring and painting fun in this drawer. Right under here, since this is on rollers, I have some space under there, and so I have this large palette, which is basically like disposable craft mats almost. I mean, I don't know that you can heat them, but from the standpoint of being able to put paint or ink on them and then use it, I use these quite a bit. So, and I just slide those right under that drawer so you can see where those are. I also have up on my desk, pan back up here, I have the current Scraptastic kit up here, but I have mentioned this tool in my videos before, but this is the Stamper's Secret Weapon from Sizzix, and it's just a foamy, a very firm foam, and on one side it's foam, on the other side it is a piercing mat, and it's just a great surface for stamping and working. That almost always just lives on my desk because I just use it every single time I sit down. I also have this pad from Stampin' Up! Of grid paper, which I absolutely love. It's great as scratch paper. It's great for lining things up and keeping them straight on your page. It also, I can use it for measuring. I just love it. The reason I popped up here to show you is that if I do want to put this away, I'll put it right under, I slide it right under this unit on top of that palette, and it just goes away nicely, greatly. So let's move over to this last bank of drawers. And in the top one, I have some miscellaneous embellishments like enamel dots and bling and pearls, things that I use more often on cards or on Project Life or scrapbook pages. I do have some, just a little bit of wood veneer and shapes and words, and some clips. So that's just a embellishment drawer. This is another embellishment drawer, and I have all these little Craftmates lockable containers. So I have sequins in various colors in this one, and some like Google eyes if I ever do little characters. All kinds of miscellaneous metal embellishments and little wooden and like epoxy kind of embellishments. This one I think has brads and eyelets and things like that back there, little rings. So I don't often pull those out, but I guess the sequins maybe more than anything, but they are nicely organized in there for when I need them. And then I have a drawer with all of my twine and linen thread, and I have some metallic thread in here, so decorative threads for card making. I also have back in this pouch, I have all kinds of embroidery floss, which if I ever want to stitch on a page, or if I have some of these stencils here that you can follow. So I have that in here, and then I also have regular mask style stencils for ink application and things like that that are all in this drawer as well. And then I have a drawer with 6x6 paper pads, which I just keep in their original like binding, and I store upside down because if I have scraps, like in this case, you can see I have little scraps down in here, I just keep them right in their same kit so that I still have all the pieces that coordinate so nicely together. And a lot of those, I love all the Echo Park ones, and then I have a lot of specialty papers in there as well. And then I had some hand punches. I don't have a huge collection, but I just had a few and they fit in here, so I use those circle ones probably more than anything, but just a handful of those in there. And my bottom drawer are lettering and calligraphy products. So Tombow dual brush pens and calligraphy pens, calligraphy papers, and things like that. So that covers, I'm going to pan back, that covers my entire corner desk storage system, both the top of the desk and in the drawers and sort of everything that I am reaching for. And I would say that that is the main part of what I use on a most regular basis. Now, if I turn around, go behind me, I'm trying not to go too fast and make everybody seasick, but get as far back as I can so that you can kind of see what we have over here. But we have this whole bank of modular cubes. And these were from my, as I mentioned, from my previous scrap room, but I did revamp all of this. So I'm going to go through this a little bit more quickly because it's less planner related, so I'm not sure if all of you will be as interested in this, but again, if I skim over something, please ask. All of these are plastic 12 by 12 paper holders that are from Generations. I cut the tops off and I use these to store paper scraps, like larger paper scraps, in color families. So when I'm done using a piece of paper, if I have a chunk of it left, I just drop it in here, and then when I'm looking for something in that color, I will pull those out. So those go across. And I have some spare, like my whatever binder I'm not using for my A5 planner currently, and my Smash book, and some inspirational scrapbooking books. These are the 2 albums that I'm currently working in. I use 12 by 12 Pioneer ring bound scrapbook albums. So those are the ones I'm currently working in. I keep those there to be handy. And that has additional alpha stickers in it over here, and that's an accordion style 12 by 12 organizer. Down below, I pulled out the shelves from within these, and 3 of them I filled with 12 by 12 acrylic paper trays, and the 2 on the left I organize both patterned paper and cardstock by color, so that when I'm reaching for papers that are 12 by 12, this is where I can find them. And then the top couple are more specialty, so this one's vellum, and the very top one is paper that has resist patterns on it, so that you can, cover them with ink or sprays or something and get like a mistable effect. This one over here on the right has all of my most used white cardstock or paper products. So the top one is Stampin' Up's Whisper White paper, which works beautifully with their inks, so I always have it on hand. Then the Nina Solar White in 80 pound is, I bought a whole ream of that and I've just been very happy with it. I use that for memento coloring and for card bases. I also have it in the 110 pound if I need a sturdier paper. Under that I have these sticker papers. I have plain sheets of sticker paper, and then I also have these from Tailored Expressions, which if I can get the light on here, and they are kiss cut with various shapes. So this one has circles, and you can see I've stamped on some of them, but you can stamp these, ink these, and then put them in your planner, and they also make them in squares and rectangles. So you see this one is squares. Hopefully you can see that in the light, but really cool product. That's been fun to use. Below that, and I forgot to label it, but below that I have my 32 pound paper that I use for planning, and this is in the full 8.5 by 11, and I just haven't cut these down yet to my A5 size. And then below that I have some foam sheets that I use when I want some dimension on a card. Down below that, this is another case where I'm still looking for the perfect size container. Right now it's a shoebox and it's not very pretty, but these are oversized stamps that don't fit neatly in my other container, so let's pull that out and take a look. This has some of these CD case type stamp sets in the rubber. I have a big Tim Holtz one. I have several of the larger rubber stamps from Tailored Expressions, and this big beautiful floral from Altenew. So, you know, all the large packaging that and some of the rubber ones that didn't fit in my other containers are all right here. And primarily those I use for card making. And then these are stamps that I also use primarily for card making as well. And I try to group them by company. So Hero Arts and my Simon Says Stamps, Fun, etc. So again, not the ones I use for planning all the time, but when I sit down to make a card, I've got these very easily accessible, and I can just pop this entire container right up on my desktop next to me. All right. As I mentioned before, up here on the counter behind me, I have my Big Shot. And then these two containers below it have all my Big Shot supplies. So again, I can pull it out and stick it on the tabletop. These are all my dies and embossing folders. And then these are tools and cutting plates and embossing pads and things like that that go along with it. And then in here, I don't have a huge collection of this kind of stuff, and I've got more space in this drawer, but I have color sprays. Like these are the Heidi Swapp Color Shine sprays, and I have a few other brands, Shimmers brands, and then a few little stickles and pearl drops and things like that in here. Oh, sorry about that little noise. And then I'm not even going to go into some of these down below. So I have like my sewing kit, some other miscellaneous supplies. I think those are foam stamps that I don't use really anymore. All three of these drawers have wood-mounted rubber stamps, and they're not well organized. They're just sort of piled in there. I probably need to go through and purge some of those, but I do use those quite a bit still on cards. There's some miscellaneous supplies in the bottom of here too that you probably aren't interested in. One of these, I think this one is my label maker. So I do like to keep that handy. So my label maker and extra tape cartridges live in there. And then up here, this is the last part that's probably interesting for you guys, but 12 by 12 sticker sheets, like this one from, I believe this is an Echo Park also. But I love these because they're all nicely coordinated. A lot of times they include an alpha, and they can be really easily translated onto planner pages, especially if you choose, you know, the right kits. But I really like this one. And I have a couple of these up here. So I hang on to these, and because they're 12 by 12, they just kind of store nicely up here. And then these two bins, I can store extra planner pages, like the months that I'm not using, or the months of my fitness planner that I'm not currently using, or batches of dividers that I've made that I'm not currently using. So those kind of live in there. And down here on the bottom are pages that are in progress in my pocket scrapbooking album. So they just haven't been clipped into my scrapbook yet, but they're in here and kind of waiting to get bound in. So the rest of these I'm just going to skip over because I have a lot of supplies. Now that we're getting towards the desk that my kids use, I just have some pencils and erasers and colored pencils that are more appropriate for their use. With the exception of these three drawers where I have some rub-ons and some chipboard items and things like that. But that pretty much covers things. I'm going to go stand up and turn back around so we can take another look at the room. So we went through all of these, which are, I still use a lot of this, but maybe not day to day. And then my entire corner desk. And what I really love is, even though this is down in my basement, and it's not like I have guests walking through here, I am so much happier walking into a clean, uncluttered space. My mind feels more fresh, and it's just the way that I'm wired. The rest of my house is that way too. I like things to have a home. I like everything to be put away. I like to know exactly where to reach to find it. So this is just really, really peaceful for me. It makes me very happy to come down to this space. So that is the tour of my room. I really appreciate you taking a look. I will try to make a list of some of the key things like storage type products and my furniture products that anyone might be interested in for their own use. I will put that in the description below. And as always, I appreciate you spending some time here with me today. And now that I've got this all set up, I hope to get another crafty video, like a Plan With Me video, out again soon. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a terrific day.